everybody, I'm Melinda Gallant, and I'm doing another fuzzy slipper edition of Cape Conversations. I can't wait to talk to my guest today. She is fantastic. So come along, let's have another Cape Conversation. Hi, everybody, I'm Melinda Gallant. And I am with Linda Monchek. Oh my gosh, actress extraordinaire, director, and she's directing for Eventide Theater Company. Linda, welcome to Cape Conversations.
Oh, thank you, Melinda. Thanks so much for inviting me and having me. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk to all the people in Cape Cod, I hope.
Well, tell us about
We're very excited about our play Magdalena, which
well, so
we're excited about Magdalena.
I know that, so tell me all about it.
Okay. It's from Eventide Theater, and it's part of their virtual theater, Melinda. Because as everybody knows, all the theaters were shut down a year and a half ago, and it was grumbling. So Chris Edwards, the artist director, says, hey, we're going to go on. We're going to go on with Zoom. So he started with Shakespeare and stories, and he said, all right, local playwrights, you're up. So I have a wonderful friend, June Callender, who's a terrific playwright. She started born and raised in Syracuse theaters, and then graduated to New York City, produced short plays off Broadway. And this is more of a full-length play about the death of Mozart. So I met her at Academy of Lifelong Learning, which is a senior citizen place. And she told me she was a playwright. And, you know, Melinda, I'm an actress. So I said, oh, what kind of plays do you have? Everything for me, of course.
Right.
Unfortunately, this wasn't for me. But then my friend Janet Moore, who was the producer of virtual theaters, said, oh, we need some plays. And June said, try this. So that's a big new media, new play, new everything, Melinda.
So you directed on Zoom, is that correct?
And Zoom is new.
Yes. Did you direct it on Zoom?
Yes.
And how did that go?
I directed on Zoom. Well, it was challenging and constantly frustrating, but I learned so much. I'll tell you this morning what I figured out I learned most. I have a much greater appreciation for film, cameramen, directors. Now, I've met you in live theater and community theater. I've always been kind of, a little bit snotty about live theater, how wonderful it is and how pure and terrific. And I've kind of looked down on film, even though that's where the money is. But I've seen from Zoom how important film is and how artistic it is. I have a wonderful man, Frank Scanzillo, and it's a nanosecond, Melinda, just 1 second off. Like even people can tell with Zoom, when there's a delay, it's totally upsetting. So the film person has to be careful what angle of the light, where the actors' faces, see the difference between this is not, part way, this way, and each position. So it's incredible. So much different than live theater, Melinda.
So how did your actors deal
I know
deal
that you
with
directed
that?
on. I think I did some scene study in acting, and there's a totally different point of view. My point of view as director is to watch, observe, and eagle eye in on them as an outsider. And their job is to become the character and just live in the space and not observe, actually not look at themselves. So we're working from totally different things. So they were sort of doing their old acting things, they might do this, or they might talk really loud because they're from that, theater. And together we had to kind of work to see what was the best. It involved looking at their recordings, which Janet had me do. And again, that was anathema to look at myself on a screen or for them to look. But we have to. And I'm sure you have that with Cape Conversations. You see yourself on television. And what is that? Is that you? Is it a different kind of you? It's kind of scary, Melinda.
In more ways than one for me.
But we did it. Yeah. I'm sure the television people all feel that. There's your persona on TV. And, when your people are on Facebook, you have people see you with Facebook or email, and then there's you in real life. I'm still grappling with that problem. But as far as the play working, we were able to get connections between the actors. They can see each other. They reacted. They took each other in, just like you would in live theater, and probably just like you do in film. So there is that carryover. It's just in a different sort of, instead of being in the air, we're kind of in the sea, if you will. We need a maybe different life support, where if you're in live theater, you have the oxygen all around you. When you're in the sea, we need another life support, which is it's the internet or filming.
Well,
and we don't always have the right life support.
I directed something, and I found it very difficult to do, because the nuance, it was hard to explain, for me to explain to the actors, that a nuance in their voice was the same as if they made an expression. And the expression couldn't be too big, but it had to be big enough that you would notice it. And I found that part
That's
of it
right.
hard. I found that part hard to do.
Oh yes, definitely. The nuances have to be big enough for them to see and hear and feel, but not so big that it blasts them off. And so Magdalena is, I even call it melodrama, but it does deal with the death of Mozart, which is mysterious. I came from Fall River at Melinda, where people are constantly, for almost 200 years, been intrigued about Lizzie Borden's parents of Lizzie Borden, who killed, all signs point to Lizzie, but they don't have any concrete proof. And there's still movies and people go around the house. And it's the same with Mozart. Nobody knows how he died. Amadeus, the movie, implied it was Salieri, a jealous contemporary, but it wasn't finalized. So someone wrote a book called The Assassination of Mozart. And this was the impetus for the playwright June to dig in further, check the history, the evidence. And then she went off and saw two likely suspects, one being Franz Hoftelmann and his wife Magdalena, and made up a story that was very plausible of another person besides Salieri who may have killed Mozart. But I forgot what I was talking about, Melinda. June told me I went off on tangents, and I forgot. What was I telling you about?
Well, here's the thing, Linda. The story of Mozart, a wonderful composer, a genius, and yet his wife left him. He had all those kids.
That's true. Yep.
And they died, right? I believe, or most
right.
of them died, all but one.
Yes,
I think he was probably a lousy husband. No offense, to be honest.
Melinda. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that drew June to the story. You can't be everything in life. And very often, we look at all our celebrities, or so many of our celebrities are extremely high achieving people. And it's hard to be a good husband, a good father, have a good home life, and succeed in your career to these extravagant ways. I mean, look at, I don't want to mention names. Everybody knows their names too much, but a lot of marital troubles have always been there, Melinda, and I guess they always be there. And that is one of the things, one of the themes of Magdalena, which makes it exciting and also makes it contemporary.
Well, it
because
is.
he would be writing operas and what?
I was just going to say, well, it
What'd
is
you
a
say,
murder.
Melinda?
I was saying it is a murder mystery. It's a murder mystery, right? It's somebody
It is,
killed him.
yeah. It's like
He
who?
didn't die of natural causes.
Right, it's a mystery.
He died
Yeah,
of being poisoned.
right. And that, well, yeah, that's part of the mystery. How did he die?
I
Nobody
see.
even knows if he died of being poisoned. It's one of the suppositions. Yeah, because of the way he was buried. He was thrown into a pauper's grave. And that was also makes it very problematic. Why would a man who was a genius, he was a court favorite. He would play for the king or the emperor. My history's not so great. And was the Austrian Empire in Vienna, 1780s, 1790s. He died in 1791. That was right around the time of the French Revolution, if people remember, when democracy was knocking on the door of all the imperial grandeur. But he was a favorite. He was up there. And then all of a sudden he dies, and ignominiously with no money. His widow has no money, and he's thrown into a pauper's grave. And what they do with sometimes is they throw limestone, I think it is, on the bodies, and they quickly disintegrate so that nobody could subsequently exhume them and find out how they died, which is also suspicious. And how to get rid of bodies and people is always a problem for murderers. So, into murder stories. This play has it all packed in. June packed it all into this 1 hour of the whodunit.
June must have known what she was talking about.
That was what
she must have done a lot of research on that, I think.
Yeah. She did. She read the book, The Assassination of Mozart, and then she read a lot of other research about find out the evidence of who did it and making up the characters. But she has a wonderful sense of the make-believe. So she can take history and fictionalize it so that it's interesting. And our actors had fun going back to that time where there's wigs and period costumes.
Oh, nice.
And, seeing how people were. But when it comes down to it, Melinda, people are the same in every era. We have our jealousies, we have our ambitions. And I hope that the play, the way I tried to direct it, was the human interaction. What you can get with kindness, if you help somebody and they can try to be sympathetic to you, and vice versa when you're not, when you're hostile, what happens to them, which is really what theater is about for me. It's about human relationships.
Now, did you have a costumer? Who did your costumes?
I did everything, Melinda. I like costumes, but I don't have a wardrobe on myself. So I have some costume friends. One is Richard Boyce from Middleborough, and he loves vintage clothing. He had a few items. Another great source for costumes is Circa, which is a vintage store in New Bedford. They rent costumes, and a lot of movies come to New Bedford and rent from him. As a matter of fact, the gorgeous royal blue velvet jacket. Unfortunately, we only see from the bosom up in Zoom, but we still see the neck of it, and see a little more. Was worn, probably created for a play they did in Newport. I can't think of the name of it. It's sort of like Amadeus, begins with an A. They did it about 20 years ago, and I went down to be an extra. When they took Newport and they took all the modern things away and they made it into a town of like the 1700s. It was about a slave boat that was captured.
Oh,
so
sure.
The whole town turned into this period piece. You remember the name of that?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the movie,
name of the boat.
I do remember it, yes.
Yeah, so a lot of these vintage stores might have clothing from that period. So that was one thing. And also local people, Amy Kennedy from Eventide Theater found a cloak for me. And then we needed a decanter. And that came from Bonnie Corliss from the Katuitt Theater. She found something. So once you get in the network, like you, Melinda, that I met you, of the Cape actors and theater people, it just goes on forever. All the people that have stuff,
I know.
And it's so much fun. Sort of like it's a little treasure hunt, isn't it, Melinda, trying to find stuff?
Yes, it is. Sometimes
Fun.
sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's frustrating. So when is this happening?
Yeah.
What do we do? How can I see it? All of that.
Oh, yes. Well, I am happy you asked because that's another big problem is publicity. I used to make little posters and stick them all around the coffee shops, and everybody did. We'd go around, and then because COVID, we didn't. Although I did find one in Starbucks the other day. So now it's on Facebook. And we've made posters for people to go to the eventidearts.org. That's EVENTIDE arts, ARTS.org. Their website. And where website is where most of the information is for theater. Once you click on that, all their theater shows will come up. And Teacher of the Year starting tonight. And then under that is Magdalena for next week. It will be Saturday, June 5th at 4 o'clock. And if you click the Learn More button, you register, and then they will send you a link. Now, you don't have to get dressed up, and it's free. You don't have to go out of your house, but you do have to have a computer to see this.
It's streaming.
And hopefully people that like local theater. What?
Yes. Yeah, I said it's
streaming.
Did
you call it
streaming play? Right. It's all streaming.
It's a steamy streaming play. We hope we hope it's steamy too, Melinda. We hope it's very steamy, steamy streaming. And then afterwards, we're lucky. Frank Scanzilla, my tech man, is putting it on the YouTube channel of Eventide. Many organizations have YouTube channels. I know a lot of people just look at that stuff. It's very entertaining, and it should be there. And also the Eventide Facebook page. So if you want to be entertained, and we also have a grave digger. We have Rod Owens. I want me to mention the actors, Melinda?
Yes, please.
We have Rod Owens. He's from Yarmouth, and he's a grave digger. Yeah, he's a funny fellow. He's a very good character. He's been in some plays with Judith Partillo and Lee Roscoe, which are also local playwrights. And in the Katuitt Art Center, I met him at Weight of Silence with the Black Box there. Then there's David Simpson. He's from Wellfleet. He plays Franz Hoffelman, who's the patron and the good friend of, and he's new to acting, but has studied extensively a Greek tragedy, and he's been in Shakespearean scenes with a wonderful conservatory in Washington, D.C. He's a serious student and an excellent actor. And then Sandra Belize, she actually manages the Pottery Barn store if people want to go shopping. She's a great girl. She plays Constance. She studied acting in college and done theater with You Can't Take Your Falmouth and the Calendar Girls in Barnstable and Weight of Silence in Katuitt. And then there's Morgan Capodaluco from Newport, Rhode Island. And she's a recent graduate of Emerson College, where she was part of their theater program. And to get into that theater program, you have to be very accomplished. And so she's also been running her own Shakespeare company in the summer in Newport. So we had wonderful auditions. There are so many eager actors, Melinda.
Wonderful.
But we've been having a good time. And one of the things about Zoom theater is you record, just like this show is being recorded. And then there's the process of editing. We had it in music. We're going to edit in sounds, like we have door chimes and steps. So then it becomes sort of like a radio show.
Yeah.
And the guy has to put it in at the right moment so that the doorbell doesn't ring when they're drinking tin. That's a whole nother week of work, Melinda, right?
Yep.
The sounds. So
well, it sounds wonderful. So Linda, let me just reiterate. It's June 5th. They go to eventidearts.org. They register, and they'll get a link that they can go on and see it. I'm sure that Eventide would like them to give a little money. If they can spare $5 or something, donate would be a lovely gesture. Because you guys put all this time in for free, it'd be nice if somebody would say thank you, and we want to see more of this by giving a few dollars here and there. It doesn't have to be big money, just a little money works. And then it'll be on YouTube after that if you want to see it again. Is that correct?
Yes, that's very well said, Melinda. YouTube and the Facebook page. It'd be the YouTube of Eventide and the Facebook page of Eventide. Yes, and Chris Edwards is providing this all for free with the volunteers he gets. And then he makes a plea for donations. And people have been very generous in the past with their shows. And there is probably a button to click if you want to do it that way, but you can also just send a check to Eventide because all the theaters have been, and needless to say, have all suffered greatly in the past year and a half without any income whatsoever. They might get some grants, but not very much. So the donations are greatly appreciated. And I think people have been generous, which is nice to know, just like on the radio shows. And
Right.
I
Well,
don't know, Melinda, things
I'm
will go
sorry.
on, I guess, right?
Right. I'm sorry that June couldn't join us today. I know we've tried this before and it didn't work. So this Zoom stuff drives me insane personally. I will be glad when I'm back in the studio full time or out in the field and doing my shows. So maybe on the next play you direct or the next one you're in, we can actually do it live and in person. What do you think about that?
Oh, Melinda, wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
We'll be back with the real vibes, right? Instead of
Yes.
this netherworld. I think
Right.
my analogy of the underwater, that's kind of the way I feel like I'm underwater, Melinda, you know, with my oxygen.
And
You've been so kind to invite me though. And I hope.
And the name of the play is Magdalena, right? And it's by June Callender, who lives here on the Cape.
Yes.
She's a transplant. She lives here on the Cape. And she's a very, very accomplished author, that's for sure, and playwright. So people should tune in just for that fact alone.
That's right. They should. She also designs quilts and teaches poetry, but she certainly is an accomplished playwright. And Magdalene is a very intriguing piece.
Well, it's a murder mystery, and everybody
so
loves.
We're excited to see. We did our.
It's a murder mystery.
And Lisa Jo Rudy was helpful to me. Yeah, Lisa Jo Rudy was helpful to me because she created a terrific trailer for her show. She's also a playwright. And then her daughter, Sarah Cook, created a trailer. Did I send it to you, Melinda? The trailer?
No, huh?
I don't know if I'll send it to you. It's very catchy. It's about a minute long, but emphasizes the murder mystery. Like who did it? Was it this one? Was it that one? Which is
that's great.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Trying to make it intriguing.
We're all getting into television and movies now, I guess.
I think that's right. We're going to have to establish our own little Hollywood down here.
That's right.
In Hyenas. The Hyenas, like they did in India. They have a Bollywood in India. Why don't we have a Hollywood in Hyenas, right?
That's right. That's next.
I think we have enough equipment. Yeah. Yeah. So many theaters are getting film work. Katua's using higher tech film and green screens, and Eventide's using higher tech filming. I just had to say, Melinda, when people compare our show done on Zoom, we didn't have the same equipment as the Tales of Twain or Teacher of the Year.
No.
They used a different kind of camera with the green screen. They're still abiding by the COVID rules. So it's been a whole, a field day of experimenting with filming. Right. Much to everyone's credit, I must say.
Well, thank you, Linda, so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And June 5th, tune in to see Magdalena, eventidearts.org. And I can't wait to watch it myself.
Oh, yes. Good. Oh, it's at 4:00. I forgot to say, Melinda, 4:00.
4:00.
Which is that wonderful no man's time. People are home from golf, home from swimming, not ready for dinner. They don't know what to do. So at 4:00, you turn on your computer to Eventide and you can have some entertainment.
Well, actually, you can sit down at
Thanks, Melinda. It's been wonderful to talk to you.
You can sit down at 4:00 and have a glass. Pardon me? You can sit down at 4:00 and have a nice glass of wine and watch Magdalena, the murder mystery. Perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're going to do.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Good to see you, Linda. Thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, I'll be so glad to be rid of this Zoom and be in person with everybody. It's coming soon. I know it's coming soon. So thank you for joining me again. Linda Monchek was terrific. Watch Magdalena, the Murder Mystery, eventidearts.org, 4 p.m. June 5th. Take care, and I'll see you next time on another Cape Conversations.